Introductory. Please read carefully. It is not necessary to spend much time explaining why we must breathe to live. It is perfectly self-evident that the best breathers live the longest and get the most out of life. It is equally self-evident that breath is life. From the first faint breath of the newborn infant to the last gasp of the dying man, life is a series of breaths. Breathing is man's most important function, and when we stop to think of it, few of us give any thought to the breath, however. We find that all our functions and all other component parts and functions are dependent upon our breath. We can therefore say that our breath is the flywheel of our physical and mental machinery. Every form of life within the universe could not exist without breath. Everything, from the amoeba to man. The ancients declared that the ebb and flow of the tides were the breathing of the earth, the great breath of the universe, which is called the Tattvic law, of which we shall learn later on. 1. The importance of breath. Breath is the fount of all human power. Radio today can project sound 7½ times around the earth in a second, carrying sound at the inconceivable speed of light. And what is this transporting force? It is called ether, and is everywhere in the atmospheric air. This same powerful ether is in the air we breathe. The power is in us while we live and breathe. We could not live without it. What should concern you as a student in the early stages of the science of mental physics is how you may become conscious of it and utilize its vast resources for your benefit. How then can you benefit for your daily life from this ether in the air which you breathe for 24 hours every day? In mental physics, the faultless philosophy of life, this important subject is presented so simply that even a child can learn and understand. We could go into history and show that with the advance of civilization, men and women have lost their original power to breathe properly. We could show how diseases are the results of persistently breathing incorrectly. Let us here be content by asserting the self-evident truth that A. Your physical health depends materially upon correct breathing. B. Your mental health, happiness, self-control, clear-sightedness, and morale depend very largely upon how you breathe. Why and what do you breathe? Now let us pass on to A. What and why do you breathe? B. The influence of correct breathing on the health of your body and mind. We all know that the organs of respiration comprise the lungs and air passages leading to them. Any doctor will tell you that unless fresh air in sufficient quantities reaches the lungs, the foul stream of venous blood cannot be purified. And not only is your body robbed by the waste that should have been eliminated and which is returned to the circulation, poisoning the whole system, but death appears on the horizon. This can be remedied, and as you start this introductory course to the wider knowledge that your teacher hopes you will be led into, let me say that if there is any disbalance of whatsoever nature in your physical body or in your mind, any unhappiness or failure in any channel of life's activities, you may now commence the potent means by which you may be relieved of your burdens. Proper breathing gives you circulation. Good circulation gives you a mental concept of abounding health and vigor, a clear complexion, and a manly and womanly attitude towards all demands of everyday life. With proper breathing, your physical appearance changes. Lines leave the face, the body takes on a new buoyancy. Men and women who are good breathers give off the dominating notes of health. Rejuvenation takes place. Beauty shines through. The result is a serene happiness, a consciousness of physical and mental well-being. 2. Exercising the internal organs. Good breathers are always strong. Correct breathing, which is given such importance in physical culture in the Western world, is the channel through which physical perfection comes to us. Occultists, moreover, have always regarded correct breathing as vitally important, as it is the only method by which certain internal organs can be exercised. As a student, you will rapidly find this out as soon as you begin the method taught herein for correct breathing. Occultists in all ages and in all lands have always taught their disciples, usually in secret and by word of mouth, that there was to be found in the air a substance from which all life is derived. We find in Christian philosophy also, and in the teachings of the scriptures, that God made man and breathed into him an immortal soul, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. No matter what the occult teaching or philosophy, irrespective of the school and the period, we find the theory regarding this force to be identical, although the names employed may vary greatly. In the Sanskrit, this force is called prana, which we will amplify to mean absolute energy, the vital force, the essence of life, and so on. Now you as a student must try to visualize that this prana, this principle of all energy in the universe, is everywhere present. There is no place where it is not. It is all-pervading. In its operations, it eliminates time, distance, and substance. Wherever there is life, there is prana, or electricity, or ether, if these words will allow you to gain a better intellectual idea of this force. Modern science proves that in every atom, every electron, every ion, there is life. Then it must be evident that prana is everywhere and in everything that lives. Prana, the energy that the soul uses. While prana is the energy that the soul uses, it is not the soul or the ego that spark around which cluster all matter and energy. No, prana is the energy that the soul uses. Prana may be regarded as the soul of force and energy in all forms. It is the principle that activity and accompanies life. Of course, prana is in the air, but it is not the air or even one of its chemical constituents. All animals, all plants, you and I breathe it in with the air. Yet, if you can imagine such a state as yourself being filled with air and the air containing no prana, you would die. Prana is taken up by our physical system along with the oxygen, yet it is not the oxygen. All one can say is that prana is the one force, penetrating where the air cannot reach, all-pervading, the spirit of the breath of life. Stop and think a while. Think about prana and its powers. Vital importance of real breathing. You are constantly inhaling the air charged with prana, constantly extracting the latter from it. It is for thinking men and women, people who want to be and do something in life, to learn how they may. Through their breathing, consciously store it up and control it. Prana is found in its freest state in the atmospheric air. In ordinary breathing, the human being absorbs a normal supply, and his prana is stored away in the brain and nerve centers to be used when necessary. But when we know the way, in the science of mental physics we are gradually taught the basic principles, we can and do store up much greater quantities of prana, just as a storage battery stores up its power. The many and strange powers accredited to Tibetan and Hindu yogis and to those in other countries advanced in occult philosophy are largely due to this knowledge and the intelligent use of this stored-up prana. You too may confidently look forward to the time when you may be able to do the same thing if you will learn the way, making of your life whatsoever Ran will. When we remember that prana comes to us in its freest state in the air we breathe, it is easy to see that it is a comparatively simple thing to keep ourselves charged with prana, the basic force of all life, when we have learned to breathe correctly. The aim of your lessons herein contained is to teach you this art, and there in no greater service that one human being can do for another than to impart this knowledge. As the oxygen in the air is appropriated by the blood and is made use of in the circulatory system, so prana is appropriated by the nervous system and is used in its works. And as the oxygenated blood is carried to all parts of the circulatory system in its work of replenishment and building up. So prana is carried to all parts of the nervous system, adding strength and vitality. Every human being, and remember this means you, uses prana when he thinks, when he wills to do anything whatsoever, when he acts and so forth. Indeed, every thought, every movement of a muscle, every effort of the will uses up what is called nerve force, which is actually prana. How glorious a thought, therefore, that you may acquire for your own use as great a supply of prana as you may wish. You're on your way to achieve this. 3. The path to the higher life. In these scientific and spiritual breathings, you have the means of faithfully putting into practice the highest principles of health, happiness, and youth, as thousands of others have done. In a word, you have at your command the means by which. There is no mystery about them. Your breathings are unfailing in their results if you do your part. The method is a faultless one, but the student must carry his breathings out wholeheartedly, both mentally and physically, as he is taught. Any man who thinks will agree that there need be no ill health, which by all the different names given to disease, is only a lack of, or disturbance of, or unbalance of prana. The author of this volume, who is privileged, if you wish, to become your teacher and disclose age-old secrets for your guidance, has himself proved these scientific breathings in mental physics to be revolutionizing in their effect. Let me say that I am not teaching you what I think. I am teaching you only that which I know, what I know through experience, and when you have progressed through practice somewhat along the path. you will agree with me that there is nothing like personal experience to bring conviction to the mind. It is absolutely true that the man or woman who, with regularity and reverent perseverance, will follow the breathings taught in this course will find himself or herself being gradually and surely brought into a full and harmonious life. There will be an added physical and mental happiness, and the gate to the road of knowledge will swing open to invite you to enter the Holy of Holies in your quest for still greater knowledge of the truth.